did have a few tears. Hello, back again with another video. Today is a sit down one and we're going to talk about the saddest book I've read in a while. Now you may be like, why are you telling me about the sad books? The thing is that this book was just so amazing. It was so wholesome, cute. I mean, yes, it was sad in places. We did have a few tears. On the whole, it was really good read and I would recommend it. So today we're going to talk about Before the Coffee Gets Cold. That was the first book I read this year and I read it before I came to Thailand. So I literally got it for Christmas, opened the book, finished it in one day, and it was amazing, but there was definitely a lot of tears going on. Now I don't know if that was just because it was also a bit of an emotional time in my life, so whether the book kind of accelerated that or whether it's just the book was a big tearjerker for me. I'm quite a sensitive person when it comes to books and films and TV shows, etc. I get quite attached to the characters and invested, so I feel like I really feel a lot of emotions when I interact with that media. So maybe you won't have a little tear, but I definitely did. I guess this is just a video talking about a book that I enjoyed and I think that you would like to. Maybe I'll do a more in-depth video about this book in the future where I actually talk about the plot in detail, but for now there are no spoilers, so if you haven't read this book yet, you're fine to watch this video. Please keep watching! So I gave this book a 9 out of 10. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the books I've read so far this year have scored pretty highly. I've definitely had some that scored rather low, but we're doing quite well in terms of, we're probably in a very middle average with the high scores and the low scores combined together. I gave it 4 stars because I just really loved it. It was great. Obviously it's not that kind of book, so it's a 0 on the spice-ometer, and when asked would I recommend this book to other people, I said yes, 100%, but make sure you bring your tissues. So this book was definitely wholesome, it was a tearjerker, it was definitely a lovely book, but it was very intense on the emotions, as we have already talked about. It was a really quick read, which I think is quite nice, and I believe all the books in the series are about a similar length. I definitely want to continue reading on the series when I return to England. I feel like that's a great factor in the books because they're super quick, super fast paced. Yeah, they're just a nice little addition to having your reading repertoire. I love the setting, the sort of small cafe in Japan. The atmosphere the book creates is really cool, and I like the fact that there's 4 different storylines going on and they're kind of all individual but all intertwined in some way as well, and I think that's really clever. I love that there's a past element, future, present. It kind of just speaks about time, and that's a really interesting concept to me, and I love the kind of cyclical nature of time, you know, it goes round, and I just think that this book did a really nice job about experimenting with time but also respecting time, and I really enjoyed that. Count how many times I say really in this video. So the first storyline is probably the tamest one. As the stories continue on, they get progressively more emotional in my opinion, so you know, don't be lulled into any false sense of security when you read that first story. The other 3 definitely got me, and there was some big mega tears going on. If you're not there yet, keep reading. Maybe you'll have some too. It's quite refreshing, honestly, in a nice way. I felt like it really cleared me out. That sounds weird. I mean, as in like got all the emotions out. One of the things I appreciated most about the book is that you actually felt you had an end to each of the stories. I hate it when you have a book and you feel like there could have been more, you needed more at the end. It was really nice to kind of feel like you had an ending for each story, and I really appreciated that as a reader because it does frustrate me. I have knocked marks off books before, as you've probably seen in my recent videos, for the fact that the ending perhaps could have given me more. I'm really excited to read the next books, and I just love what the author does with these books and how he writes. Granted, it is a translation, so obviously the original being in Japanese by the author Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I hope I said that right. I'm sorry if I didn't. I will get better at practicing the pronunciation. Yeah, obviously it's a translation, but I'm sure the translator did a really good job at keeping the similar vibe to it. I would be really interested if anybody has read the original out there to tell me if you've read the translation and the original. Does it convey the same sort of messages? I mean, I feel like to be published, it has to have done a pretty decent job. Let me know. Do you prefer one of the, I'm assuming you're probably going to prefer the original But do you prefer one of the editions, or what's your thoughts on that? That's the question. Should we learn Japanese just so we can read this book in its original text? Question of the day. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed. I love languages, so could be a thing. Stay tuned for that. So the only reason I gave this book a 9 out of 10 and not a 10 out of 10 was, this is not a spoiler because you get introduced to this character at the start. I think it's literally on the back of the book as well. The seat in the cafe, which allows time travel, is occupied by a woman for most of the day. We learn that this woman is a ghost. However, I feel like we could have got more of her story. And maybe I'm talking too soon because maybe that will come in the future books. I feel like there could have been a little bit of background. I want to know more to why she was there in the first place, what she was doing, her backstory. So I felt there could have been a little bit more with that. It couldn't be less than a 9 out of 10 because everything else was so perfectly polished, and it was just a really, really great book. So if you fancy reading something a little bit different to your usual romance or fantasy thriller, this book is really, really nice. This book is sort of in the magical realism area, which, you know, I've read some good magical realism books in my time, and I definitely say this is one of my favorites. If you fancy reading something a little bit different, pick this book up, go give it a read. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If it's been on your shelf for a while and you've been umming and ahhing as to whether to read it, I would say definitely go for it. My only one warning would be is it is kind of emotional, so maybe if you're not in the mood to have a couple of tears, don't go for it just yet, but it will be there for you when you need it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's just me back again talking about books, so I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. As always, we're filming every day, so we'll be back again with more videos. I believe the next video will be my review on A Court of Wings and Ruin, so if you're enjoying that, come on back. And as always, until tomorrow, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!